Hello and welcome to the very first edition in 2021 of the Back Nine Report. Every week, Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, Happy New Year. How are you? The first show in 2021. We're back. We're back.
Welcome to a new year of Back Nine Report. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I hope your holiday was fantastic. We had a really nice time, a lot of downtime, except for a couple family dinners. We very quiet. Couple weeks. Got to watch a bunch of football. My Buckeyes and my Browns are still playing, but I don't know. There might be COVID issues, so who knows? We'll see. Got to watch a few old movies. Really, really great stuff. But, Carlos, COVID is still lurking, so be careful out there, kiddies. Watch what you're doing. First show of 2021, we got so many questions, Carlos. Will DJ continue to dominate? Who's going to separate themselves from the rest of the pack on the PGA Tour? How will Jon Rahm's new Callaways work for him? What about the ladies? Will they get to complete a full season schedule? When will fans be allowed to attend golf tournaments again? We're going to answer a few of these tonight. Some of these are ongoing and we're going to keep covering them, but we got a lot of golf, just like always, to talk about. So let's go, Carlos. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, but let me tell you one thing. I know that we're going to talk about Jon Rahm later, but he said that he hit 59 course record. I don't know. We'll see.
Look out, Bryson DeChambeau.
Watch out. I think there's going to be some issues there. Anyway, we'll see pretty soon how that will fare out, right? Because he's playing this weekend. But anyway, let's start with a little recap of the last two tournaments that happened in golf while we were gone, and one of them was the CME Group Tour Championship. And my lady, Jin Young Ko, oh my God, she did it. Yes. She missed most of the LPGA Tour season. She still won the year-long money title. That's what a $1.1 million check does for you, right? She's the top-ranked player. She put I'm going to say emphatic capper, to her truncated year because, again, she just played 6 times. But she shot a 6 under 66, won the CME Group Tour Championship by 5 strokes over Hannah Green and Se-Young Kim. And with a birdie on the final hole, the LPGA Tour's final putt of the season. That's how she was able to win and finish at 18 under at Tiburon for her 7th LPGA Tour title. Se-Young Kim, great player. I mean, she had a fantastic year. She took a one-shot lead into that final round. Shot a 72. That was good enough for her to win the Rolex Player of the Year honors. I mean, playing for even pot, that's amazing to win with that, right? And Danielle Ken won the Beyer Trophy for the lowest scoring average. Definitely another player who had a great year, great scoring. She had that run during the summer that looked like she might be challenging Yin Young Ko, but then she flared off at the end of the season. Hannah Green had a 67 in what was her 24th birthday, so happy birthday to her. Related, right? But this win, Fred, wrapped what we can call it a typical wire-to-wire year for her at number 1 in Yin Young Ko, because she has now held the ranking since July 29 on 2019. She played only 4 LPGA Tour events in 2020. She competed also 6 times on the Korean LPGA Tour. While she was riding out the coronavirus pandemic at home. She didn't want it to come until things were a little bit better, but really things have not gotten that much better, but the stakes were getting bigger at the LPGA, and that
$1 million will make you, take a little risk. Come on over.
Yeah, that check for $487,000 also for finishing second the week before in the U.S. Women's Open helped her push that earnings to $1.667 million. So, Fred, how about that season by Yin Young Ko and also by Se-Young Kim and Danielle Kang?
Jin Young Ko, number 1 in the world. Any more questions? You could just see it building when she came over here. She was a little rusty in the first one. She played a little bit better. had a great finish at the Women's Open, U.S. Open, and then wins the CME Group Championship and the big check, a lot of money. Just proved it without a doubt who the real deal is in the women's game. Kept her hand in her game in Korea over the summer. But then when the money gets right, then she comes over and just blows everybody away. That's, we talked about last year, how cool she is, how calm she is on the golf course, just goes about her business. I love her game. I love watching her play. It was really something to watch. Se-Young Kim, what a great, finish to the year. She finished strong, ended up with the Player of the Year, like you said, ends up tied for second at the CME Group Championship, has the win late in the year. Just a really good year for her as well. Won a major. Hannah Green, that fine 67 on Sunday. Daniel Kang gets the Bear. The one person that didn't win this year for the first time for a long time, Lexi Thompson. What was his first time in 8 years? She did not win during the year. She did finish T5 at the CME Group Championship, a golf course she knows real well and likes. She's won on before. The name that pops out to me, Carlos, Lydia Ko, also tied with Lexi for fifth place. She just keeps coming up on leaderboards. Have you noticed that? She's just, she's getting very, very close to regaining her form. And that's my question to you tonight, Carlos. Do you think Lydia gets anywhere back to the kind of game she had before where she can dominate in 2021 or maybe even going forward into 2022?
I think she's pretty close, like you're saying. We kept talking about her all year long, being there, about to break through. I think that she just needs to break the ice. If she wins one, I think that could just make her go back in confidence, because I think a lot of this is in mental for her. She's pressuring herself too much, I think, to go back to be what she was, that dominant player. There's a lot of other dominant players right now. I don't think she would be as dominant as she was before, but she would definitely be competing next year. I guess just one. All it takes is just one to get that confidence back, and she would be competing for maybe the first. I don't know if she can dethrone, or anyone can dethrone, Jin Young Ko, the way that she's playing, and she is. But at least she'll be close and winning there, and maybe competing in majors for winning another one.
Jin Young Ko is playing the way that Lydia Ko played when she was dominating. Just, every shot down the fairway, every hitting every green, letting her putter do the talking, no big risk, just playing her game. Nothing bothers her. That's exactly the way Lydia played. Final top 10 on the Rolex rankings at the end of the year. Of course, Jin Young Ko, Se-Young Kim. Inbee Park, number 3. She had a really good year. Nelly Korda, Daniel Kang, Brooke Henderson, Nasahata Oka, Minji Lee, Hoo-Joo Kim, Sun Young Park, and Lexi ended up number 11, just outside the top 10. Amazing the LPGA got in as many events as they did during the pandemic. Kudos to Michael Wan and his staff for working every angle, rescheduling and completing as many events as they did to at least give the ladies some income after basically losing February, March, April, May, and June. And they really didn't get going until late July. So what they lose 5 months, and they still got 4 majors in, something like that. So really, and they played a couple tournaments in Scotland. Actually, they traveled abroad a little bit, moved some tournaments from Asia to the West Coast. Really did a fantastic job. Came up with a couple new events to stick in to fill some holes. So. It was an entertaining year, fun to watch. As always, you and I are big LPGA fans, and we're gonna be watching again in 2021, Carlos.
Definitely can't wait, and we're gonna talk about their first tournament pretty soon. But the LPGA always brings it, and I think 2021 we have to tip our hats to Michael Wan. Definitely. Great effort to get them playing as many tournaments, like you say, that they played, and they're going to have their hands full this year. So we'll talk about that pretty soon. But anyway, the other tournament that we're going to talk about was the PNC Championship. And, Justin Thomas and Tiger Woods were trading text messages on the eve of that final round at the PNC Championship. Their teams were tied for the lead and in contention. But in those text messages, they knew what they were saying. Neither was mentioning, about winning. You don't want to give some locker room, things to say about to the other or anything. But anyway, more than this was about Tiger getting to play it alongside his 11-year-old son Charlie, watching him. He was twirling the club after a good drive, and yes, even he delivered that fist pump with his red shirt on Sunday. And for JT, it was more about competing with his father Mike, which is a long-time club professional in Kentucky, and the only coach he's really ever had. So Team Thomas birdied the opening 7 holes. They put it away right there, and they delivered a 5-foot. And then Mike, his father, delivered a 5-foot birdie putt on the 18th hole. That gave them the 15 under 57 in the scramble format, and that was a one-shot victory over Vijay Singh and Son Kaas. JT and Mike, they won the Willie Park Trophy, and he really got this feeling like the other 19 teams won a participation trophy. For Tiger, his team, him and his son, posted another 62 to finish 7th. But more than that, when you saw him and his son dressed in his traditional Sunday red with black trousers, it was amazing. And seeing Charlie, he's just 11 years old, and the way that he was playing, and more than that, what I got away from it was his attitude towards playing. And before that, all the build-up that he wanted to play against JT and his dad, and all this trash talking already at 11 years old. I can't imagine when he's a little older. And the last thing, Fred, interesting to see that Charlie's mom, Tiger's ex, Ellie Nordgren, she was walking there the final round at the Ritz-Carlton. It was the first time at a golf tournament since the 2009 President's Cup at Harding Park. So I know she was there for Charlie, but it was, great to see her back in the golf clubs.
Yeah, and the daughter too, Sam. She was there along with her mom, and so yeah, it was a good deal. And I have to tell you, Carlos, I enjoyed watching this just about as much as I enjoy watching a major championship. I've always been a big fan of the PNC father-child. I've always watched some of it every year. I kind of look forward to it, but I pretty much watched all of it, really, and it was really good stuff. Charlie, I have to keep reminding myself, he's 11 years old, right? He's a little bit of nothing. What does he weigh? Maybe 60 pounds, maybe? And I was doing the numbers when he's hitting these shots. He's hitting a 220, with the driver. He's hitting a 220 at 11 years old, and he's hitting fairways. He hit that 1-3-wood up on the green on the 1 par 5, and he hit that, I think he hit it about 200 with a 3-wood. That's phenomenal. That's outstanding for a guy his size. You wait. A couple more years, he gets a little size on him, gets a little stronger. These guys are all playing for second place. There's no way Tiger and Charlie are going to win this thing every year. I'm telling you. 11 years old, they finish at 20 under. They shoot 62. And I'm watching JT and his father Mike. And you talk about Mike making the putt on the 18th green. He made a bunch of putts. He rolled, and some nice putts, not just little tap ins, some 8, 10, 15 footers he made. So they were a lot of fun to watch too. But I'm watching this. They had 1 par on the front, 2 pars on the back. I'm texting a friend of mine who we play in some scrambles together, and we got a 4-man scramble team with pretty decent golfers on it, okay? And we have trouble shooting 15 under with 4 guys, and they're out there with 2 guys blowing it. Now, it's an easy resort style golf course, and they don't have it set up hard because they've got, the kids playing and all that kind of thing. But I don't care. 15 under on 18 holes, that's pretty good. And 10 under for Tiger, an 11-year-old kid, that's outstanding. So, and once again, Carlos, we see it. Tiger moves the needle. With he and Charlie in the field, TV ratings were double from a year ago. Double, okay? Just adding Tiger in there. According to Jeff Shackelford, citing the numbers, they garnered a 0.92 rating on Saturday, a 0.98 rating on Sunday, which is about 1.5 million viewers each day. That's really good. And as we've said many times, like for Golf Channel, If they're getting 800,000 viewers, that's a really good day for them. And they're getting 1.5 on this thing. That's really, really good. So yeah,
1.5 in December.
in
1.5 in December.
with football on the weekend, right? College Saturday and pros on Sunday, exactly. Yeah, I like I say, I really liked it, and I'm. It's so cool to see Tiger a whole different light, right? The new and improved version, Tiger 2.0, Tiger as a father, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. He's maturing. He's a lot more, he's just more enjoyable. I don't even care if he wins. It's just he's more enjoyable to watch just because he's kind of got it figured out finally.
Definitely, I have to agree. I mean, it was very enjoyable. It's a different side that we see also of the players when they're playing with their family, right? It's not, yes, they're competing, but also for Tiger, you could see that he really was looking forward to playing with Charlie. More than winning, it was just really for him. And it honestly, that's how it looking when you were looking at the tournament. So yeah, I agree with you. I can't wait. Maybe in a couple of years they'll start winning and winning and winning and winning because Charlie's going to be really good. I mean, I was impressed like you with him. For a kid so small, just 11 years old. Wow. I mean, it reminded me a little bit of his dad when he was just like that, but we'll see. Only time will tell. But anyway, Fred, to close up our recap, we have to finish it with the player of the year, Dustin Johnson. I mean, the way that he played was outstanding. Definitely world number one, no doubt about it, player of the year. But numbers tell the whole story about how he was dominant. And he's already up to a good start, right? He won a tournament called, the Masters, right? It was Masters, a little tournament there. But tell us about the numbers. Break it down for us to see really what it was that Dustin Johnson did this past year.
In 2020, he earned a total of $23 million, which includes the $15 million he got for winning the FedEx Cup and total prize money. So it breaks down, Carlos, to $392,000 per round. So every 18 holes he plays, he's getting $390,000, $21,000 a hole, $5,700 a shot.
I have a question for you before you finish that. How many players would like to earn that in one tournament?
Oh my goodness, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. And this was a shortened season, right? Two of the majors we didn't even have, plus the players. I mean, if he could have won two of those and finished high in one of them, I mean, he could have had another $5 million on top of there. He could have had $30 million. So yeah, it was a really good year. He played really well. And like you say, he's off to a pretty good start in 2021. He's already had one win, one runner-up, and a T6 in 3 starts. He's already over $3 million in earnings for 2021. And yeah, one of those wins was a Masters, and he's got a chance to win another Masters. He could be the only guy in history to win 2 Masters in like 5 months. That would be quite something.
That's a question I have for you. How would you feel if he does that? I mean, how are we going to say that? Did he won the Masters from the previous season? Is it this season? How are we going to refer to that? I mean, because
you got it. It's an asterisk. It is the 2020 Masters. He won it in November, right? Supposed to be in April. Only had to wait 8 months to get it in, but he did win it. It was 2020. We're turning the clock over once it struck midnight on New Year's Eve. We're now in 2021. The Masters coming up in April. It's just another major. You got to look at it. It's like when Tiger won the 4 majors in a row. He won 3. He didn't win the Masters that year. He won the other 3, and then he won the Masters next year to get the 4th in a row. He doesn't get, it's called the Tiger Slam because he's got 4 consecutive. It's not, I guess it's not called a Grand Slam because it's not all 4 in 1 year. But, winning back-to-back Masters, I don't care if it's 4 months apart or if it's 12 months apart. It's a phenomenal accomplishment. And I wouldn't bet against him doing it again. If he gets out, if he works over the winter here, works out, gets out and plays and is ready to go when they tee it up in April, I just wouldn't bet against him again. If it's soft, it's even better for him because the ball's not going to roll, and that it'll be a lot softer. The golf course will be a lot softer in April than it was here that we saw. It was a little bit soft. It wasn't too firm, but still, for him, a soft golf course is a good thing. So, I wouldn't bet against him, Carlos, and I think it'd just be a phenomenal accomplishment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about how he would start this year. He already is good. Started really, really fast this season, and it's going to be two different seasons, right? The way that he wanted the weather, the way that it was in 2020 when he played it, and when it's going to be now in April, it's going to be very different. So it's going to be two different circumstances, whether he does it or not. If he does it, it's going to be incredible because he would have done it in two different settings. But I think the way that he progressed after the pandemic, he finished really, really hot, and that he has continued to do so. But we'll continue to talk about Dustin Johnson.
He had a couple little bumps in there. He had, those back-to-back 80s. He had a WD because of the back. So he had a couple little bumps in there, but he just takes it all in stride. Just, it's all part of the deal and goes to the next week. He seems very confident in what he's doing and just keeps doing the same thing. And it works for him. It works really well.
Definitely does. And with that, we finish our recap of what happened while we were out on the tournaments. Now the action returns right away on 2021. There's one tournament this weekend, and it's the PGA Tour, which starts always right away. And it's going to be at the Plantation Course at Callaway, Maui in Hawaii. And it's the traditional Century Tournament of Champions. But this year is different because typically this tournament is reserved for the winners in the previous year. But this year, of course, due to the pandemic and all that, they decided to expand the field to include anyone who qualified for the Tour Championship. That resulted in 28 players who qualified via victories, with another 17 qualifying by reaching East Lake. Now, the 42-player field is the largest in the tournament history, but it does not include number 4, Rory McIlroy, and number 10 in the world, Tyrrell Hatton. Both of them opted not to play. Jim Herman is not in the field because he tested positive for COVID-19. But who's going to be there? We just talked about him, the FedEx Cup leader and world number 1, Dustin Johnson. Number 2, Jon Rahm, who will compete for the first time in the Masters in mid-November. And Rahm is going to be playing his first event, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, since signing a deal to play Callaway clubs and balls. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting there. The last 4 event winners went on to finish in the top 5 of the FedEx Cup standings. JT, Justin Thomas, in 2017 is the only one that has gone on to win there and then claim the FedEx Cup. Jeff Ogilvy in 2010 is the last player to successfully defend the Tournament of Champions title. Who's going to be here for the first time since 2006? Sergio Garcia is going to be here too. And Fred, the field includes 7 first-time entrants, which is Abraham Ancer, Victor Hovland, Sung Jae Im, Jason Kokrak, Carlos Ortiz, Scotty Scheffler, and Richie Wierenski. How about the TLC at Kapalua?
Well, to me, this is more like an exhibition than anything. It kind of eases you into the year. It's a no-cut deal. You got usually just all winners there. Now you've got FedEx Cup, the Tour Championship guys there. Plus the winners. So you've got an elite field, no question about it. The golf course, to me, is always part of the story. Number 1, it's in Hawaii. How can you beat that? Number 2, it's a fabulous place. Coeur Crenshaw, it was one of their early designs when they built this golf course, an old pineapple plantation, very hilly. The last 2 holes almost go straight down the mountain. 17 is a 500-some yard par 4. They hit driver, their driver goes 400 yards there by the time it runs out, and they just have a wedge in. And then you've got 18, which is a long par 5. But again, they'll hit driver and maybe a 6-iron or 7-iron in there. So eagle is always in play at number 18. So you can have a tremendous swing in scores on 17 and 18. A 3-shot lead is not really safe coming in there. And this place is built for somebody like Dustin Johnson or Justin Thomas. It's just built for their game. It's perfect for them. So always fun to watch. Always enjoy watching golf on Hawaii. I start getting itchy. I get the twitches when I start watching that. I get ready to start swinging some golf. Matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to go hit some balls at a range that's covered. So I'm getting ready. I'm going to be in Florida in a couple of weeks. So I'm getting ready. I'm getting fired up, Carlos, already. Just even thinking about it, just talking about it.
I know you were talking about itching, and I started doing this. I don't know.
Passing on to you.
You passed it up to me. I might have to go and play too, but it's too cold. Anyway, if you want to watch it, Thursday and Fridays, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Golf Channel. Saturday, same time in Golf Channel. And Sunday, it's going to be 4 to 6 p.m. on NBC, and then 6 to 8 p.m. in Golf Channel. Now let's talk a little bit about the other tours. They're not starting right away, but let's talk first about the European Tour. The European Tour starts in January 21st to the 24th with the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, which starts 3 tournaments where they call them their Middle East Swing, which will be then the Omega Valley Desert Classic, and then they'll play at the Saudi International in Saudi Arabia, which we'll be talking about it, of course. Is before that, then after that, for 3 weeks, they'll wait for their next tournament, which is the WGC Mexico, which is, of course, a co-section with the PGA Tour because it's one of the WGCs. But the European Tour will have a different look. What you expect about the European Tour, and what would you like to see? Because still, a lot of the top players are still in this side of the pond, and we watch how it went there. But with the second-tier players, let's put it that way, with some top players here and there getting there, but the start is with very big tournaments. What do you think is going to happen at this beginning of the European Tour?
Well, the pressure seems to be off a little bit. People seem to be coping better. Everybody seems to know how to handle this COVID stuff a little bit better, what they need to do to stay safe and all that thing. I'm kind of happy, actually, that Rory is staying over there and giving them a big name. Lee Westwood coming off a really big year last year, and a couple of other guys are going to be there that are big European Tour names. So I think by doing this the way they're doing it, I think it's going to work out fine. The European Tour, this year in 2020, it really took a hit. It really took a hit because of all the international travel they do. They couldn't do it. And so cobbling together those events in England, moving to Spain a little bit, going to South Africa a little bit. They were on Cyprus for a couple of weeks. They just kind of picked their spots and kind of hopscotched around the country, the Europe just a little bit. But it's still an issue there's so much money in the United States on the PGA Tour. The big names have to come over here and play. And because of COVID, they can't be going back and forth that much. So it's just limited. But like I say, I'm glad to see Rory's playing in Abu Dhabi, starting out the year over there. That gives him a big name for that tournament. And we're gonna hear a little bit later in our interview. This is a Troon Golf managed facility, so they're pretty excited about that the Rory's going to be there for the year and that kind of thing. So, Carlos, it's still, the European Tour is still a minor tour. It's not up to the level of the PGA Tour, no way, shape, or form, but they do have a good product. Hopefully they're able to keep it going, even coming off of last year. And when we can get back to having some fans there, they can get their sponsor money back up, and they'll be all right, hopefully.
They will. And definitely, I think I have to agree with you the way that they started this year by pinning up the Middle East swing, which is always big for those European-based players, the top players that come here to play, Tommy Fleetwood, Rory McIlroy, that are staying there for this beginning. But then they gave that 2-week break between the Saudi, which is going to attract, we already have talked about the big name players that are going to be there, then 2 weeks before then the WGC in Mexico. So it means that they're actually letting those players, hey, look, we know you're not going to be here during those 2 weeks, so we're not going to put any pressure on you to stay here, play the Saudi, play the Middle East swing, and then you have those 2 weeks. Something happened with COVID or anything, you have 2 weeks to recover and be ready for the WGC Mexico, or even for the prep before the WGC Mexico. So it's a good start for them. After that, we'll see how it happens, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. Now, the other tour that we want to talk about also is the LPGA, which will start on January 21st, which their version of the Tournament of Champions, which is the Diamond Resorts Tournament of Champions, that's in Lake Buena Vista. Then they will take a month break before they play the Gainbridge LPGA in February 25th. That's going to be still a location to be determined. It's going to be in Florida. Hasn't been announced yet. Now, then they'll play the inaugural Drive-On Championship at Golden Ocala. That's March 4th, and then the Kia Classic on March 25th. So it's going to be a 2-week break there. But then that's just, if you count it, that's 4 tournaments the first 3 months of the year. So you say, like, what's going to happen with the other? But then they'll have no rest because they'll play 32 consecutive weeks. That is if you include the Olympics, which is the first week in August, and the Solheim Cup, which is the first week of September. 32 weeks in a row. But
that's really unusual for them. They usually play about 2-3 weeks a month. Always usually have a week off every month at least.
They do, and the reason is they have 34 official events across North America, Europe, and Asia. They added two new events, a new match play event that I really want to see there in May. And players are going to be competing for what is a record $76.45 million in official purses tournaments. Fred, after a year that was disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, I think that 2021, everybody's gearing up to have a great year. And I really think the LPGA is going to have their best year ever.
Yeah, and as you know, we've talked about before, they were really geared up to have a tremendous year in 2020. They had everything lined up, big purses, a lot of events. You know, it was going to be a big year, and then they ended up not playing February through July. So it just killed them. But here they are. They got through it, and they're looking at a big year this year. Like you said, they're going to start in Florida, and then after a few weeks, first 6 events are in the continental United States. Not really going to Australia this year. They need to get that back. That's always great to be able to go down there and talk about the Australian Women's Open. They need to get that back on the schedule somehow. But they've got Singapore, they got Thailand, they got China. So it would be great to see them get back and doing those international events. Heavy backload, like you say, there's 11 events after September 1st. And in that, you've got the Solheim over Labor Day. You've got another 4 events over in Asia. So it's really a jam-packed year for the LPGA Tour, Carlos. Can't wait to see it. So there were some bright spots from 2020. Social engagement was up 40%. TV viewership was up 30%. They did complete 18 events and got in 4 of the 5 majors. We did see fans being allowed back on a limited basis, and they're have hopes to gradually expand that as we go into probably into April, May, June. So a lot of there was some good points in 2020, and but we're looking for a lot bigger stuff in 2021 from the LPGA Tour.
We definitely do, and I can't wait for them to get started. And we're going to have to see really how they're going to be. Like you mentioned, the interesting thing is 32 weeks in a row, how they're going to be, scheduling their tournament, especially with the Olympics that we know, especially for the ladies, is something big for them to go on and play there. and we're gonna see how Inbee Park, who's really playing, like you mentioned, very stealthy, very good. She's poised to defend that gold medal there. But let's see.
Could she win the first two gold medals? Could that happen?
That would be amazing. We'll see. We'll talk about that pretty soon too. Now, how about the Champions Tour? You know, due to the circumstances that related to the COVID-19 pandemics, 14 PGA Tour Champion tournaments were canceled last year. But in an effort to uphold the competitive integrity of the Charles Schwab Cup, the Champions Tour combined the 2020 and 2021 seasons and formed what it's a wraparound singular 2020-2021 season, which will include 40 tournaments, 15 events from 2020, 25 events this year. Very bullish, but we'll see how it goes. You know, that there's 25 events culminating with the Charles Schwab Cup playoffs in November. The tour will be in Canada, England, and 19 states. Prize money is going to total $55 million. The Mitsubishi Electric Championship at Walleye will be the first one in January 17th to the 23rd. That's going to kick off that schedule that will feature two new tournaments. And Fred, very interesting. The 2021 rookie class will be highlighted by three-time major champion Patty Harrington. He's going to turn 50 on August 31st. Then the nine-time PGA Tour winner Stuart Appleby, May 1st, and four-time PGA Tour winner Robert Allenby, July 12th. He turns 50. They're going to try to emulate the last year rookie class that tallied 8 victories, 2 by each Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, and Jim Furyk. I don't think they have the name or the recognition or the resume that these others have. How you think the Champions Tour is going to fare this year?
You know, the Champions Tour really got a kick, you know, because of Ernie being there and Phil playing a couple times, Furyk winning a couple times. So that was really good for the Champions Tour, even though it was a down year. They only had 15 events. That was really good for them. So it's kind of like the LPGA Tour. They're really rolling stuff into this year and really have a big year planned for the Champions Tour. It's going to get off to kind of a slow start. You know, they're going to be playing in Hawaii in 3 weeks, January 16th and 18th. Well, actually, a couple of weeks here. But then they don't play. They have a week off, and they have to go clear to Morocco to play the second event. So it's going to be a little bit of a break in there. But, you know, with the names that are coming, with the names that are there now, I think more people are going to be interested in seeing how the Champions Tour does.
Definitely does. We'll see who of those players, if Phil will play again, how that will happen, right? Now that he has this full schedule to play on the PGA Tour, will he actually do the same thing? I don't know. I don't think so, but that's going to be the interesting thing to see if he does. And Bernhard Langer, oh my God, will he continue to win? Will he pass Hale Irwin? A lot of storylines to follow there. Now, another tour that decided to do a wraparound season due to the pandemic is the Korn Ferry Tour. The 2021 portion of this tour is going to be combined, features 23 tournaments to be played this year. Now, this season is going to culminate with the Korn Ferry Tour finals in August, but the one-time wraparound season will result in what is going to be 46 tournaments total. The Pinnacle Bank Championship presented by Aetna, which has been held at the club and Indian Creek in Omaha, in Nebraska, since 2017, now is going to be moved to the finale of the tour's regular season, where the first 25 PGA Tour cards of 2021-2022 season will be awarded based on the season-long points list. That is a 46 tournament season-long points list. Now, the event is set to be contested August 9th to the 15th. Will be in Golf Channel, but Fred, the 2021 season will be opening with the third annual Lecom Suncoast Classic. They're not going to be playing the Bermuda, the regular Bermuda tournaments because of the COVID pandemic and all this stuff. So we're going to have to wait until February 15 to the 21 to see the first tournament in Lakewood National Club in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. So how about the Korn Ferry Tour?
Yeah, as we talked about, the Korn Ferry Tour guys kind of got, you know, the short end of the stick for sure. As we said, there was about 5 guys that really had distinguished themselves and really should have moved up to the PGA Tour. A couple of those guys, you know, are going to get more PGA Tour starts. 1 or 2 of them earned enough points in the fall there to get some special temporary exemptions. So it's going to be a long deal for some of these guys who are looking to get back to the PGA Tour. That's just a sign of the times. You got to play where you can play to get back to where you need to go. So yeah, it's unfortunate. The Bahamas ends up getting shut down again, but I'm just so sick of this, Carlos. I want to get back. We need to get back to where it was. Come on, let's get it over with. Let's get the shots. Let's get the vaccine. I'm ready to go.
We'll see how it goes, but definitely I'm pumped to go and get it too. So we'll see. But anyway, with that, we wrap up our forecast, forecast, man. What am I?
The weather?
Am I a weather guy now?
2 weeks off and you to forget all what you're doing.
Incredible. But anyway, tell us a little bit about Boyne Resorts.
Hey, Bay Harbor Golf Club at Boyne is celebrating their 25th birthday in 2021. You've heard me talk about the 10 fantastic golf courses at Boyne. Well, the Bay Harbor Club has 27 holes, 3 9-hole tracks. They run through an old quarry. They run through native pines up on the hills above Lake Michigan coastline. Some of the views there are just gorgeous. One of the most enjoyable layouts in the world. It was designed by Arthur Hills, has received recognition from every major golf publication, plus every golfer that has ever found one of their lush fairways or soaked in the magnificent views. Everybody just loves it. Combined with the Inn at Bay Harbor, it provides a top shelf golf experience that rivals Pebble Beach, Bandon Dunes, and Pinehurst. See for yourself in 2021. Go to boyne.com/golf. That's BOYNE.com/golf to book your next golf adventure today. By the way, they got some hot deals going, so log on there, check them out.
All right, now let's talk on our par 5 news, and we have 5 pieces of news worth talking about it. And the first one, since her contract with the Golf Channel ended last month, Lisa Cornwell has alleged in multiple tweets that she both experienced and witnessed mistreatment during her employment with Golf Channel. The initial tweet was sent in January 1st, was a calculated one. According to Cornwell, who joined No Laying Up podcast on Sunday to discuss that mistreatment, which she said ranged from an executive making fun of an anxiety-stricken analyst to a management hierarchy that she felt actively tried to keep her off the broadcasts. Tom Mars, who's her attorney, was also present during the recording of the podcast. Now, Golf Channel was invited by No Laying Up. They were requested to make comments according to that to the statement by from the host of the show, Chris Solomon, at the outset of the show, but they declined for a comment. I guess obviously because of legal reasons. But the first allegation for Cornwell that she expressed against the network stemmed from an incident that was back in 2016, the NCAA championships in Eugene, Oregon, during a dinner with coworkers. Then she continued with comments and explaining all the different things, including an issue that pertained to Brandel Chambly, who she alleges never liked her. Now, her attorney chimed in. I mean, Chambly doesn't like a lot of people. But anyway, her attorney, I'm not trying to downplay that. Her attorney chimes in at the end of the podcast to discuss the gender discriminatory nature of her claims and other similar allegations that have been against Golf Channel. Fred, what's your take on this?
Well, her role as an announcer and a host had become diminished over the past couple of years after she had a couple run-ins with a Golf Channel execs, as you said. Also did not seem to get along with Brandel. Brandel holds a pretty high seat there at the Golf Channel. He brings a lot of eyeballs. So you gotta, the star, you can't be crapping on the star of the show. So she says Golf Channel has a double standard and bias against women that led her to file the lawsuit with the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And in it, she alleges gender discrimination. Part of this stems from a tweet that she put out when Lynn was leading the one tournament, I think in San Francisco. She was playing with clubs that she had to buy that the manufacturer didn't even give her. And she thought that was just terrible that one of the top women pros wasn't given the equipment she was playing with. She had to pay for it. And that evidently drew a big complaint to her boss back at the Golf Channel head shed, and he came down on her on a big rant. So, you know, you can't piss off the sponsors. You can't piss off somebody that might be an advertiser. So that got her in trouble right there. A couple other things happened. So and she always took great pride in doing the NCAAs, and she got jerked off of that. So it kind of had been boiling for a while. And now that her contract wasn't renewed and she was let go, she's bringing this stuff out. So I'm sure it's a little bit of sour grapes, but evidently there's something behind this, and there's some, you know, it's documented, and then she can pull this stuff up. So I'm no legal expert in any stretch of imagination, but it does seem to me that she was simply reporting a fact about the player having to buy the clubs, and the story was substantiated by interviews with the player and other people. So I'm not sure how she could be reprimanded and later fired if that was one of the reasons that led to her firing. I know on-air announcers, you know, we see that as a very glamorous job, right? And they got people just yammering in their ear about what they can say and can't say constantly. And they have to watch every word they say, and who they talk about and who they don't talk about. It's really a very stressful job. So they certainly don't want to offend any potential sponsor or advertiser, but it appears to me she might have a case here, Carlos, and I don't know if this will ever go to court, but I'll bet you she's going to get a chunk of change out of it.
I think so. I like you, we're here reporting golf. We're not reporting lawsuits or anything like that. I mean, this could become one, but the reality is, if those allegations are true, definitely she has some ground for discrimination, at least. But that is the fine line. Like you were saying, there's some things that you're told not to report on, or at least because you can affect this or that. But then how am I not going to do it? I'm just going to be covering something that could be, you know, potentially damaging to somebody. Now about the player there, they didn't give him the clubs. The only thing that I can say is, and it's only in that case that I would argue, if I would be devil's advocate, I would say, like, well, she's not one of the top players in the world. And we're not talking about Lexi Thompson. We're not talking about Jin Young Ko or one of those top. Yes, she was leading the tournament at that time, but we don't know really what is the dealings that the big vendors have, the big brands have. And that's the only one that I would say, like, well, if they didn't want to give it to her, well, that's on the sponsor, you know, that's a sponsorship thing. But that's the only one that I would say. The others are, if are true, they're definitely, there's grounds there.
One more point, talking about the sponsorship thing. You know, the women are always going on about, we want bigger purses, we want bigger purses. Well, they're getting bigger purses because there's women that are playing better. More people are noticing the women's game. And so there's more sponsors. So the sponsor money is going up. And that's been Michael's big deal. You know, 5-6 years ago, I talked to him and he said, you know, we're getting the weeks filled out. He said, I'm not really worried about getting more tournaments. I'm worried about getting bigger purses because we've got sponsors lined up who want in. So that's a bidding war, right? So, well, if you want in, if you pay a little bit more than this other guy, then you can have his event. And we've noticed, you know, when we started doing this a long time ago, the Marathon Classic, the total purse was around 900,000. Now it's up to what, about 1.5, 1.6. It goes up a little bit every year. And they're one of the lower ones. Yes, the U.S. Women's Open is $5 million, but there aren't too many that are over 2 million. Okay. And the PGA Tour, they're playing for 6 million, 8 million, $10 million every week. So there is a big gap. That's just economics. That's just the way it is. So that leads into my point that the Sumatra Tour, I've had the opportunity to play in some pro-ams and be around Sumatra Tour players over the last few years. They get very little in endorsement money. There just is nothing available to them. They might get some free merch here and there, but they're not getting any sponsorship dollars, to cover costs. If they get something, it's maybe $5,000 or $10,000, and it costs them about $4,000 to $5,000 every week that they're playing just to get by. So it's not a lot of money they're getting. And if you're not a big name on the LPGA Tour, you're not getting a lot of sponsorship. You're not getting a lot of endorsement dollars. So that's just the facts of life. That's just the way it is. You want more, you got to play better. You got to practice more. You got to win. You got to be better. It's true merit-based opportunity there in pro golf.
And it's true not only for women, for men as well. I mean, and we have talked about this before, and don't want to get too much off topic, but the reason that we have talked about it is how difficult this has been a topic of us throughout the whole 8 years that we've been here, is how difficult is it for a golfer to make it? And that is part of the reason why. You need the sponsors to get going, to keep playing and playing. But anyway, we'll definitely keep looking at this and see where it goes. Like you mentioned, may not get to court. We'll see, but definitely there's some grounds there. And it'll be interesting if somebody else comes forward and all that. Like she's saying, she says these days to keep everything on the low are over. So we'll see what happens there with the Golf Channel and this possible lawsuit there. Hey, in the world of golf, green doesn't just represent the putting zone, because there's a lot of money to be made on the professional golf circuit. But only one agent, I was like surprised, only one agent associated with the PGA Tour managed to make an appearance on Forbes' list of the world's top sports agent this past year, which was released just a couple of weeks ago. For years, Mark Steinberg has prided himself on having an array of golf stars to his credit. They include Tiger Woods, Justin Thomas, Justin Rose, most recently also Matt Kuchar. He's a partner at Excel Sports Management, which Forbes ranks third among the value agencies. According to Forbes, Mark Steinberg has a total of 35 clients and contracts worth more than $101 million. A caveat is in order, okay? Because according to the article, contract earnings are counted for team sports athletes. The gains from sponsorship contracts are not. But now, for golf and tennis, agents, they do not take commissions on their clients' earnings at championships because it's single players. That's their earnings. So they only make money on the marketing stuff. They help generate, and for which they receive 20% on average. So this means that this is not exactly a benchmarking measure, since the agents who represent golfers are measured by these marketing numbers, not by the tournament's earnings. Other agents who stand out on the list, Fred, I was watching there, include Scott Boras, tops the rankings there with $3 billion.
$3 billion.
$3 billion. Incredible. Rich Paul, there. It was also JC was there, not that high, only 9 million in commission, but he doesn't need it. I mean, the money he makes in music is just much more. Well, how about this for Mark Steinberg?
Yeah, well, if you're Tiger Woods' agent, people are going to listen, right? So, he was negotiating $100 million a year of endorsement money for Tiger for all those years. Tiger was earning, 10, 15, $20 million in tournament money on tour, but he was earning 80, 90, $100 million in endorsement money. So Steiny's getting a pretty good deal with that. Plus, just the fact that, I'm Tiger Woods' agent, people are going to listen. So I don't know, you got a guy like Scott Boras, super agent Scott Boras. That's great. But like you said, in golf, the agents don't get a piece of their percentage of their winnings. They just get parts of their contracts and endorsements. A guy's got to win to get the good endorsements. But, when he's got Justin Thomas and Tiger and Rosie and a couple other top guys, he's not hurting. I don't care where you're at on the list. I would say that probably next to Scott Boras, Mark Steinberg has as much say in sports and remember Chubby Chandler when he was at his peak, when he had Westwood and Darren Clark and all those guys, and he pretty much controlled how Europe, reacted to the PGA Tour and what events got played and what players went to what events. And Steinberg has about as much power as anybody in sports, as far as I'm concerned, and probably just about as much as anybody in golf for sure.
Definitely. I mean, and just in name, everybody knows who Mark Steinberg is. So that should let you know.
That's Steiny. Tiger said Steiny.
Yeah. Anything, Tiger, call him. Tell him.
Yeah.
I want to call him. But anyway, now, Fred, I'm interested in knowing what is the win equity stat.
Yeah, Jeff Shackelford had a story about this on his website, and I picked this up. I found it kind of interesting. So there's a new stat out there. Like, we need more numbers, right? We got to have more stats. What do they call that? Those guys that do that in baseball and football and all that stuff. The money.
Analytics.
Yeah, you got to have analytics. So we've got analytics and golf, and we got all these bettors, right? We got all these DraftKings guys and all these guys now with legalized gambling and stuff. So they're always looking for new stats, new numbers. So this guy put together this thing called win equity. So he's taken a look at how guys performed at the end of a golf tournament. If you're a 54-hole leader, did you go on and win, or did you fall on your face and end up 220 or something? And so pretty interesting if you look at the list, if you go to the article. Ricky Fowler and Tony Finau, those are definitely not guys you want to bet on if they got a 54-hole lead. They just have not performed well over the last year or so whenever they ran the numbers on this thing, and they're way down the list. So the win equity ratio defines expected wins given the actual play minus expected wins entering round 4. So generating a positive win equity means that a player outperformed his expectations and ignoring what anybody else might have shot. So we're trying to remove the luck factor out of it and give people that watch golf or people that want to bet on the final round a number that they can hang their hat on. So one of the ones that really kind of surprised me, but then when I got to thinking about it, Rory was way down the list. He was just above Ricky and Tony Finau, actually. But, after the pandemic, he did not play that well. The 18 months before the pandemic, he was about the best in the world. He was finishing top 10 every week, which would be a positive win for him, right? So his win equity ratio would be very good. He won a lot of times. He finished in the top 10 a lot of times. But after the pandemic, he did not. So I have to write his result off as too small of a sample size. You can't base Rory's performance off of the last 4 months of the year. You can't do it. Surprisingly, Dustin Johnson was near the bottom, and I don't get that, though, especially the way he finished 2020. So I have to say I'm not sure their analytics are quite correct. If they got Dustin Johnson, I will take Dustin Johnson in the final round. I'll take him in the first round, second round, right now. I'll take him anytime, right? So is this a valid thing? I don't know, Carlos. They're trying to make it like stroke gains putting or stroke gains, whatever. I cannot say that it's something that has real merit at this point in time, but it is something to maybe kind of look at. I'm sure they'll tweak it and refine it. I'm sure it'll get better.
Yeah, like everything, at the beginning, like you're saying, I gotta say that it's the the sample size is not enough for us to say, well, this is going to be one of those stats that you really can depend on. It's so many stats right now. And at the end, I keep hearing about analytics, like you're saying, for everything. It's like, really? And then you hear when people tell you, oh, you're not following the analytics for this. If he would have kicked the field goal at this time, there's a 39.4%. Really, 39.4%. Okay, let's get to numbers, right? Okay, 39%. Is it really when they are in that yard, in that part of the field, in that same stadium, under the same circumstances that is 39?
40 left to right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the way that now people get with these things. I know it's good to have numbers, but sometimes people just go too wild on them. But anyway, Fred, we were talking about Dustin Johnson. He's won the Masters, and he's not going to have to wait too much to play in the next one. I mean, it's never too early to talk Masters. What do we have? What do you have for us on the Masters?
A couple of items real quick. They were the patrons who had tickets for 2020. Their tickets are still good now for 2021. And they had been told that January 1st, they would be let know if they were going to be able to use their tickets, if patrons were going to be in. Well, they've kind of backed off of that and issued a statement as planning continues on how to stage the 2021 Masters safely and responsibly. We'd like to inform you that Augusta National is delaying the ticket process for Patron Series badges, which normally began January 1st. So the intention is to communicate the decisions to all patrons of record by the end of January. So they've kind of delayed this off to the end of the month to see how things are going. Is the vaccine working? Is it going to be out there? Are they, is the health department's going to allow them to have the patrons come to the tournament? So no answer on that right now. And then we've got, right now, we've got 84 players listed in the field, and that's not going to change only by the fact of the players that happen to win a golf tournament between now and April 1st. So there's 13 PGA Tour events prior to the start of the Masters. So 1384, that keeps them under the 100 that they want. Because there's no Asian Pacific, there's no Latin American amateurs, so you're not going to get other amateur players in there unless they happen to give a special invite to somebody. So looks like we're going to have 100 players, that's, you've got that's pretty much it. That's all I've got for you, Carlos, on that. Even though it's January, we're starting to talk about the Masters.
We can't wait for the Masters. Come on, it's got to be next month. Got to start talking about it. But anyway, Fred, one more thing, piece of news is that Troon acquired Indigo, which was formerly Billy Casper Golf. What happened there with this acquisition? What does it mean that Troon acquires this company?
It really made Troon really big. That's what it was the bottom line. It increases portfolio facilities with the acquisition of Indigo Golf Partners, which was Billy Casper Golf. So they now provide managed services at 585 plus locations around the globe, including over 630 golf courses, 18-hole golf courses. They're in 40 states, 30 countries, all around the world. If you're a member of a Troon golf course, a Troon managed golf course, you have reciprocal rights or you have playing privileges at their other golf courses wherever they may be, and they have some pretty nice golf courses. So there's Troon down in Scottsdale. There's Indian Wells out in Palm Springs. There's big time golf courses all over that Troon now manages. Some of the places that I like to go in South Alabama are managed by Troon. So this is a big deal for them taking this over. And we had the opportunity, Carlos, to talk with Kris Straus, who is the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Troon. And if you have that, we can play that and people can listen to what he has to say.
We're about to open that pretty soon. Give me 1 minute to get it ready for you guys. But one important thing that I want to ask you regarding that while I get this ready. So which other which other companies can we compare this now? Because you're saying it got pretty big. So what would be like their direct competition right now for them?
Club Corp, for example, okay, would be a big competition. Club Corp, I think, has about 300 properties, between 250 and 300, around 300. Like Firestone is a Club Corp company. Pinehurst is a Club Corp company, a Club Corp facility. So if you're a member of Club Corp, you can play all these other golf courses. In the case of Firestone, if you want to go play the South course, there's an upcharge. You don't pay the full $375 green fee, but you might have to pay $200 or $150 or something like that. Same thing like with Troon. If you're a member of their golf course, you can go play some of the others. Club Corp is one. Honors Golf got taken up by Troon as well. There's a couple of other companies that are smaller and small regional deals, but those are really the two big ones.
All right, so now let's play this interview with Kris Straus.
We want to welcome Kris Straus, who is the Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Troon. All over the news, Kris, Troon just acquired Indigo Partners, which was formerly Billy Casper Golf. Pretty big acquisition for you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. It definitely made some big news. We've done some acquisitions in recent years, starting in 2014 with Honors Golf and thereafter with Cliff Drysdale Tennis and Caddy Master and OB Sports. But this one certainly made some waves in that Indigo Golf Partners, formerly Billy Casper Golf, had such a wide reach of courses, and we're in a lot of areas where, frankly, we didn't have as deep of a penetration in terms of client depth as well. So.
Could you tell our viewers a little bit more about Troon? Give us a little bit of background, the history, and what you guys really do.
Yeah, so we're the largest golf management and golf-related hospitality management company in the world. Now with the Indigo acquisition, over 600 golf courses really around the world, over 40 states and really 30 countries. And we help owners achieve their goals and help owners operate their golf facility, a golf course at a related resort, their country clubs, in some cases golf-related hospitality, like i.e., lodging, if you will, which is a small element of it. And then, in the case of like some of our other brands, Cliff Drysdale Tennis, we're operating tennis facilities and tennis programming, caddy programs through Caddy Master. So basically, if you own a golf course per se, you might want to try and do it alone, or you might want to lean into experts. And that's where a third-party manager comes into place, where you can help, you can hand the keys off, if you will, and we would bring all of our expertise from HR to agronomy, golf ops, sales and marketing, membership sales, if it's a private club, and we can help you achieve greater success and provide better golf course conditions, more efficient savings in terms of procurement, and ultimately create a better golf experience for your everyday golfer.
Troon has kind of had the reputation that they've worked with kind of higher end properties in the past. I'm sure a lot of our viewers have been on Troon managed golf courses around the world and around the United States, some of the nicer properties around. With the acquisition of Billy Casper or Indigo Partners, they tended to work maybe with a little bit lower income properties, maybe public facilities. Kind of gives you a broader base and touch more individuals, more golfers this way?
Absolutely, it certainly does. And, I think that was part of the appeal as well. I mean, certainly, I don't think people know, but within Troon Golf or OB Sports, another one of the brands that we have in our family of brands, we were the third largest operator of municipal or governmental owned courses, behind number one, which was Indigo Golf Partners. And so collectively now, we're clearly the leader in terms of operating courses for governmental entities, municipalities, et cetera. And certainly that's appealing to us. We believe that there's a lot of ways we can make municipal golf better for the daily fee golfer, continue to with the accessibility mission that municipal golf has, and also also grow the game along the way too. And so that's exciting to us. Some that you said earlier, some folks have played maybe Troon North or, maybe at Indian Wells or Kapalua, and certainly understand that the Troon Golf brand represents usually a 4 or 5 star experience, and, probably the highest level within the comp set. And, I'll tell you, as we evolve and we, further refine our brand architecture of our company, I think it will look no different than maybe what other hospitality companies look like. For example, Marriott is the broader brand, and within Marriott there's amazing Ritz-Carltons, and there's amazing W's, and but then there's also great Sheratons and Courtyards as well too. And so no different in that realm as will be kind of in our family of brands, if you will, and there might be some different experiences, and certainly that can be appealing to a broader audience, as you referenced.
I think you said you're now in 40 states. I think with this acquisition, you pick up some courses up here in Northeast Ohio, from what I understand, up around Cleveland. You're also in 30 countries around the world. So you're not just in the United States, domestic, you're international. Yeah,
we are. And, we actually have offices. Our international headquarters is in Dubai. And, we coming up soon, if you tune into the HSBC Abu Dhabi Golf Championships, that's played at Abu Dhabi Golf Club, a Troon managed facility. And so we have courses in the UK, in the Middle East, in Australia, in Malaysia. So certainly, it's a global game, right? And thanks to even the recent efforts with the Olympics in Rio, it's getting more traction globally. And Troon it follows that as well too, and we are certainly international in scope. I personally love it. I enjoy it. I love getting to know our international counterparts. It warms my heart when I see things like Troon Family Golf and our Troon Junior Club, things that started in the U.S. being deployed in Middle East countries, and we're truly like growing the game in certain countries where people are putting a golf club in their hand for the very first time. And think about opening up a facility in Russia or in certain parts of the Middle East where people don't have exposure to the game, and we're going into malls and getting a golf club in their hands. And so that's really cool. And certainly it's a global game, and we're honored to be entrusted with management of facilities on a global scale as well.
Kind of finally, Kris, this enhances the Troon brand. It broadens your base for sure. For Indigo partners, formerly Billy Casper, it helps them continue to serve the golf courses they've been serving with a partner that's going to take care of them and still maintain a really good relationship with them. What does it mean for the golfers that maybe belong to these Troon facilities or other golfers that visit those facilities? What does it mean to the golfers, this merger?
Sure. Well, specifically related to what it means to the Indigo golfers, because that's probably one context you'd want to ask that question. And it's, everything that you love about your experience at a current Indigo course, everything you love about it, the people, the golf course, the location, the programming, like none of that changes. But our job is going to be to help, learn from each other and help refine it. And if there's opportunities to make that better, we're going to make that better. I guess some examples, I kind of referenced the Marriott analogy. A Marriott program that kind of transcends all brands is Marriott Bonvoy, the ability to earn points and get rewards at Marriott resorts, whether you're staying at a Ritz-Carlton or staying at a W or a Sheraton, et cetera. And we have aims to expand our rewards program, Troon Rewards, to include those Indigo courses that opt in to participate, again, on an opt-in basis. So that would be an example, look for other programming that might have brand crossover, that might benefit all and will be applicable not only at your favorite Indigo course, but whether you travel to a Troon Golf location or beyond.
We've been talking with Kris Straus, who's the Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Troon Golf. And Kris, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us today, talking about this new acquisition.
Thank you for having us. And again, look forward to the future. And we're excited to be working in lockstep with Indigo Golf, their team, their clients, and For more information on Troon, make sure you check out troon.com, and that will connect you with Troon and all of our family of brands as well. So thank you much, and I hope everybody's getting out to the golf course and playing more golf in 2021.
Thanks, Kris.
That is what we are all hoping, to go to the golf courses and see everybody playing. I can't wait to see it. But definitely a big acquisition, and I learned more about them now, and I'm sure our listeners as well. And your explanation about the other companies really is giving us a knowledge of really what is behind all this and all those programs that you can be part of. Okay, it's not only just going and playing, but all those other things, right, Fred, that you can actually benefit from being a member of those groups.
Yeah, someone I forgot to mention too, I was thinking about after you started playing, Kemper. Kemper Lesnick is a very big sports management, very big in golf. They manage several high-end properties around the country as well. So yeah, Carlos, it gives you another opportunity, especially people that travel for business. If you're a member of somebody like Club Corp, or if you're a member of a Troon facility, you can play all these other golf courses. You've got an in. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. There's someplace you can go and play. So they have their advantages, and Troon does a really good job. They have a really good name. And I have to tell you, Billy Casper, let me put this delicately, I guess. You know, when we got on these media trips, right, we play a lot of different golf courses. And some of the worst golf courses that I've been on were Billy Casper managed golf courses. Okay. I really think there's a step up for them. Now they have dealt with kind of a little bit more lower end type properties, but I think Troon will help with those munis and those kind of properties, make them better for the members going forward. So I think this is a positive thing all the way around.
Most definitely. And with that, we wrap up our VIG, very important guest of the week. And now let's move on to the practice range. For every week, Fred and I pick a topic, and each one of us take our own shots at it. This week, we have to talk about 2021. It's just starting. What's going to happen, especially on the PGA Tour, which we haven't talked much about what we're expecting. But the overall arching topic has to be COVID-19, Fred. The vaccinations are starting. Of course, we know it's going to be facing, it's going to be through phases, right? We know that we started already with the healthcare workers, with the high risk patients and all that. So we are optimistic that 2021, because also, you know, even though things are still on the rise, people are still getting to know more about what they have to do. So we're expecting what about the 2021 with the COVID-19? To me, I am very positive. I think that things by the summer will be somewhat back to normal. Okay. I think that we're going to start seeing fans returning to the tournaments at some point during the spring. And I hope that it happens sooner. But I think the goal will be to start to getting people back in the spring to go watch sports live, especially in golf. I can't wait to see that as well. So what's your take on the COVID-19 and what to expect about it in 2021?
It just seems totally amazing to me, Carlos. A year ago, 1st of March, you know, it hit this area here. And, you know, the state started shutting everything down, and no restaurants and, you know, stores and everything, right? And we saw the LPGA Tour start canceling events in February last year. So we're coming up on 1 year that we're into this thing. So once we figured it out through March, April, May, we started getting back and doing some things. The PGA Tour came back in June. The LPGA came back at the end of July. So, and we're going with this now. We are playing football. We are trying to play some basketball, college basketball. The pro season got picked up, finished. Baseball, hopefully, will get started here. I was talking to Catherine Roberts the other day, actually. She works with a lot of major league teams. And she was telling me about what she had found out about spring training coming up. It's going to be difficult. She works with several different teams, but during this year, she's only going to be able probably to work with one. because you have to stay in one hotel. You can't be moving around with people. You have to stay in that group. You can't be, she said when she went, she did a 10-week training program with one of the teams, I think it was Chicago Cubs. And she went, did the training at the place, went back to her hotel room and couldn't leave. So she just went from the hotel room to the site. And that's what we're going to see. Now for golf, I'm like you. I don't see fans in any great numbers before June. And we're seeing the rollout now, as you mentioned, with the vaccine, with the medical personnel. My wife was talking to her mother today, who's in a facility, a senior citizen facility up in Michigan. She's going to be getting hers in the next couple weeks. And so people like me, who are kind of near the top of the list, I'm probably not going to be able to see anything until probably, late February, maybe early March, maybe. So it's going to take a while for this thing to get rolled out. We're still going to be dealing with COVID through this first quarter, Carlos, but as we go into May, June, July, I think it's going to free up quite a bit.
I think so, and I'm very optimistic about that, and I can't wait. I know things may not be the same with some other things outside of sports, right? Like going to go do curbside pickups and all that stuff. I like that, not having to deal with so much people going in.
Michigan,
but
still can't go into a restaurant in Michigan. They're still shut down.
I know, but still, those are off things. Sports, I want the people there. But anyway, let's talk about the players, okay? Dustin Johnson, we already talked about him. You broke down the numbers, how good he did. The question is, there's two questions. Can he keep up that pace? I mean, he's playing the best play of his career, and that's tough to say for somebody that has won so many consecutive years, and it's one of the best players. Definitely he's testing to be one of the best players ever if he keeps this up. Can he sustain it? And if he can, then can somebody step up? I mean, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm with his new clubs. Who else can do that? I mean, the way I see it, Dustin Johnson has to really get injured like he did with his back, where he had those 280s during the middle of September, to really be challenged. I don't even see Tiger challenging. We would like to see him, but I don't see him really doing anything short term. But JT, Rory, John Rahm, who else? I mean, there's nobody right now. I see the way that DJ is playing. To me, if he gets injured, that's how somebody else gets a chance to challenge him at number one.
The only guy you haven't mentioned there is Bryson DeChambeau, and he had his high points this year. In winning in Detroit, winning the U.S. Open. Bryson had a really good year, and if it wasn't because Dustin Johnson just had a phenomenal year, Bryson probably would have been Player of the Year. Very possibly could have been. But Justin Thomas, I think, is right on the precipice. I really think Justin Thomas is really close to jumping back up to number one and really challenging DJ. John Rahm, really good. Rory, I look for him to get back as well. I think Rory has too much pride. He didn't like the way he played here late this summer. He just wasn't inspired. You could tell he just wasn't into it. He was just going through the motions. I look for Rory to be really strong. So between Justin Thomas, Rory, Rahm, maybe Bryson, those are the guys that are chasing Dustin. But unless he gets injured or completely gets bored, I don't see anybody catching him anytime soon.
And let me tell you one thing. I agree with you. I love JT the way he plays. I think he could be the one that really challenges DJ for number one. But the way he's playing, DJ, is tough for him to be down. John Rahm, always being high on him. I don't know. He still has to get a little more maturity in his mind. But the one that I think is going to get better, and I keep taking Bryson DeChambeau out. He has to go out and be number one before I give him that. But the one that I think is going to happen exactly like, because if you see Dustin Johnson, he was always there, short, almost there. Winning, but not that big time winner like he's right now in the past few years, right? He had been always knocking on the elite part. There's a player that we mentioned here, Rory McIlroy. He's an elite player, but I think what he needs is he's going to get better with age. And he's already in his 30s. And it's the same thing that happened to Dustin Johnson. I think maturity is starting to set in on him. And there has been a lot of pressure on him all his life to win and be the number one, which he was. But I really think that this year, I think we'll see a very different Rory McIlroy. You know, he's married. He has different interests as well off the field right now. So Rory is someone that I expect him to excel a lot this year. I see him in a different mindset. And as long as he keeps turning that corner, I think he'll be to me, he's the player to watch beyond DJ this year to challenge him. So that's my pick this year on those players.
The only thing I forgot to mention, you mentioned Tiger. Tiger's just not going to play enough. I don't think he's going to play enough. Yeah, I mean, he can still contend at Augusta National and the Masters. You know, he might be able to contend at Kiowa, and he can definitely contend at Torrey. I'm jumping here to the majors here for you, Carlos, but with the U.S. Open being back at Torrey Pines this year, and then the Open Championship at Royal St. George's like it was supposed to be last year. Torrey Pines and Augusta National are two places that Tiger could definitely win if he plays enough leading up to them. So to me, that's the key. Phil, I really think Phil is done. You may see a flash, okay, where Phil has a really good week, but you know, the rest of the year, you're just not going to see him. You know, I don't think he's going to be a factor. If he throws in some top 25s, that's going to be pretty good for him. You know, he still has it on short periods. The arthritis, the age, it's just all too much. So I don't expect to see much out of Phil. And Tiger, we got to see him play more if he's going to be ready to compete in those majors.
He has to be healthy. He has to manage his load like they do in the other sports. And that's what we really have to see, because this is the compact schedule again. The Olympics are in. There's a lot of tournaments compressed, and he definitely cannot play like he did when he was in his 20s or early 30s. Definitely, he can contend, but we're going to have to see first if he stays healthy. Second, let's see how much he plays, because he always had this timing to get to the majors. He would peak in time, and he had his preparation time to be done towards the majors. And that got trounced last year, of course, because of the pandemic. And because he was starting to look good 2019. I mean, everything was looking fine for 2020 for him. But 2020, the pandemic happened. He got injured. He didn't have his timing on. So we'll see what happens if maybe with this full year, of course, compact schedule again. But we'll see how he manages his load. Like you mentioned, Torrey Pines, he can play blind there and he can win. And Augusta National, of course. So we'll see. Those are two majors. Then getting into that, Augusta National, of course, that's where the Masters is always played. Kiowa is going to be played, the U.S. Open, the Torrey, Kiowa, the PGA, and Royal St. George is going to be that four classic courses that are going to be played. Amazing for the PGA Tour this year. We're going to be delighted to have those four majors there. And all of them are going to present its own challenges, right? But to me, they are going to be the story of each major, just to watch players go there and play those classic courses. What are you expecting at the majors this year?
Yeah, again, you know, the guys we talked about, Justin Thomas, Jon Rahm, Rory, those are going to be the guys. And then you maybe throw in a Colin Morikawa or a Matt Wolff, you know, to be in contention. But I really think we're going to see those top 5 or 6 guys really competing in the majors. And again, as we talked about earlier, Dustin Johnson has to be the favorite going into Augusta National for the Masters for sure. you know, Carlos, the one thing that we lost last year was the players, and that's right when everything shut down, was after the first round of the players last year. They sent everybody home, and it's going to be back in March. So we're going to, you know, we're only 2 months away here from the start of really serious golf with the players, and that kicks off the lead up to the Masters the next month at the beginning of April. So that's going to be, we're really going to be gearing to that and watching when the tour hits the West Coast, and these guys start playing at Torrey and at the Genesis. You know, that's when we can see, that's when we can get a feel of who's really going to be a contender this year, don't you think?
Definitely, and I was just going to mention that because the players marked the start of the lockdown for sports. It was like after that, everything was like off for those couple of months, and right now, I think there's a lot of that marks like it's like a timeline that you want to get to because that was like where everything stopped. It's like everything is going to start again once the players come back, and I'm looking forward to the full schedule. I mean, I can't wait for this to get started this weekend with the Tournament of Champions, start to get back on track and try to talk about all the tournaments again, and you know, have the full schedule. That's what we're looking for. And one of the tournaments that's returning is the Open. We missed it also last year. That was the major that they had to cancel. And what about the return of the Open, especially we talked about Royal St. George's, and we have heard Kieran Clark talk about what it means to be back there in this classic course. I can't wait. I mean, it's part of that grand slam that we like to see on the majors, and to be there finally back on Royal St. George is going to present a great challenge for everybody. I can't wait to see who's going to be the winner, who we're going to be, like you're saying, who's going to be peaking, because by then there's going to be the Olympics pretty soon. So there's going to be some plays. And of course, one thing that we haven't talked about, and we're going to talk about the Solheim Cup pretty soon, but the Ryder Cup. You know, it's things that we have to see how players are going to be also thinking about. I need to be starting to make my points for this. So, you know, that's one of the factors to look on the tournaments that are going to be played. How about the return of the Open?
Yeah, you just mentioned it. I mean, there's so much golf coming up this year, and we're going to kick it off here real quick with the Tournament of Champions this week. But the players, the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, then the Open Champion, then we got the Olympics, and we got the Ryder Cup, we got the Solheim Cup. Carlos, it's so much, it's overwhelming this year. We thought we had a loaded schedule last year. It's even more so this year. It's actually mind blowing, and just can't wait to get at it and talk more about it. You know, the people that follow the show, you know, we're going to be on it every week. We're going to be talking about this stuff. I get these updates from the PGA, the current Ryder Cup points list, you know, who's at the top and all that stuff. And I go, oh my goodness, I'm getting this stuff already. We're not doing the Ryder Cup for another 7-8 months yet. Come on, give me a break. But you know, it's too much. You mentioned Royal St. George's. It's a little bit different golf course there. It's more of a placement golf course. You just don't tee it up and bomb away there. You've got to keep it out of the trouble there. So that'll be kind of fun. And actually, if Tiger's on his game, Royal St. George's could be a place that he could really do well because he's such a great iron player and he hits that stinger. If he could hit that down the fairway, those bullets in the wind, and then control those irons up onto the greens, he could do well at Royal St. George's actually.
Definitely he can, and that's another thing that we have to be looking forward to. And like we mentioned, Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup, all of them players have that in mind. So many things. The Olympics are going to be in the summer, late July, early August for the ladies, late July for the guys. Of course, they're going to be the defending champions trying to go there again. For now, we know that Inby Park is solidly there, But those medalists from last time and the guys, I don't know if they're going to make it, but we'll see what's going to happen. That's the big story also. How players last time when we had the Olympics, it was Rio, and it was the well, I don't want to know the Zika virus. I might not go there. The violence, all this stuff. Now it's Tokyo. That's a different story. The guys are learn how good it was the experience from everybody else, how much they enjoy it. Now they started to talk, oh, well, I might want to go there. But, coming off a pandemic year to a big year now, full schedule, compass schedule, there's going to be some challenges as well. How they're going to now welcome the challenge to go there, play the schedule, qualify for the Olympics, qualify for the Ryder Cup, the ladies also for the Olympics and the Solheim Cup. How do you see this challenge for the players and how receptive they will be?
It's tough. It's tough. They got to pick and choose. We've been saying this for the last few years. It's a young man's game. Same thing with the ladies. It's a young ladies' game. You got to be in shape. I mean, it's the travel is one thing, then practicing, walking up and down all these golf courses, the stress, the mental stress of performing well under each shot every round. So it's just trying. It's very, very competitive. It's tough on you. So as you get a little bit older, it gets a lot tougher. And so even though like a Justin Thomas, a Rory McIlroy, we think of as young guys, they're now getting in. Rory's into his 30s now. Justin Thomas is into his late 20s. So Dustin Johnson is into his 30s. I don't think we'll see Dustin Johnson back out of the Olympics this year. I think he will be there, and he could be a real factor to win that thing. Rory is not going to back out. We'll see Rory there this year. It's going to be tough. They're going to have to pick and choose their places to play. You just can't play every week. And if they want to play 25 times or so, some of these events are going to have to get cut out.
They do, and that's one of the big things that we have to watch for this year. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk, and you wrote it here, that's mine.
This is yours.
This is mine. Let's see. You asked what young players should we watch for on the PGA Tour and the LPGA or the European Tour. Let's say male and female, right? Now, defining young players, right? Because it's so tough to say which age you wanna make the cut at. And the guys, we already know the young guys that are out there: Colin Morikawa, Matthew Wolff, and Victor Hovland. Those three are like the stars already. Below that, you have to have, of course, the Sungjae Im. Okay, it's incredible to know that Sungjae Im is just 22 years old. He looks like a veteran already. And that is one of the youngsters that we really have to keep looking at. He keeps going at it, and he's not flashy, but he's consistent. He reminds me a lot of Matt Kuchar. He's like solid money player all the time, and that's one of those young players that we have to keep an eye below those big tier players. I'm not going to include Scotty Scheffler, who's 24 already. That's like old for a young guy, but he's playing really good. That's another young player. But another that also looked like a veteran, it's only 21, is Joaquin Niemann. It seems like I've been talking about him for years already. It's 21. He looks like a veteran. He's finally a winner on tour, and he just keeps getting better. So that's another player that you have to watch for. Now, on the guys, really, I have three new names that you have to add to this list. The first one, it has to be Robert McIntyre. Robert McIntyre coming from the European Tour, and he's one of those, and I know Kieran Clark is going to be happy for me to talk about.
Kieran's going to love you.
Yeah, Robert McIntyre is one of those young players, maybe the best lefty young player out there. I think, he plays this laser-like iron play, and he's just gaining more and more confidence every year. He needs to improve a little bit on his driving accuracy, but he's getting there, and he's getting the experience on the European Tour thanks to being more exposed in the top of the leaderboards, because those top players hasn't been there, and he's just gaining on. That's one of the players to watch from young players from coming from the European Tour. But the one that I'm big on, and last year I talked about him a lot, is Rasmus Højgaard. He's already a winner in the European Tour at 19 years old. Is incredible the way that this guy plays, and he hits it a mile. He has this 300 over 300 yards drives average. He's right now he's fifth on the European Tour in driving, so he's really good. He's accurate. He still needs to improve his shipping and putting, but he's getting there, and that is a name that we have to look for, Rasmus Højgaard from Denmark. And you know what's the most interesting thing about Rasmus is that there's two of them. Yeah, he has a twin brother called Nikolai, who actually, when they were growing up, Nikolai was actually the one that they called the better player. And for some reason, maybe mentally or maybe because Rasmus has gone out to be doing better, but Nikolai was the one considered the better player of the two. He finally makes it to the European Tour, another 19-year-old, of course, they're twin. Those two players, and if you don't think they're good, the last time they played together, they brought down a medal for Denmark in golf. So that's how good they are. Those are the two. And the other one still on the Corn Ferry Tour, that's Brandon Wu. I've been talking about him on the Corn Ferry Tour. I think Brandon is going to be another one of those young players to watch his progress on the Corn Ferry Tour throughout this next season. Now, talking about the ladies, that's really tough. There's so many that we can talk about. But again, the established ones, and you have talked about them a lot, is Jennifer Kupcho and Maria Fassi. Those are the established ones, right, that we have to look for. But below those, we have to really talk about Yalimino, Pati Tabatanakit. Those are like the two top players right now that you have to see that are playing great and are competing for the Rookie of the Year on the LPGA Tour. And they're so young. Yalimino is 19, Patty's 21. Another one to look for is the Symetra Tour graduate that won, Ana Belak, the Slovenian player that graduated from Duke and went on to be the number one in Symetra Tour. She took over from Leona Maguire in Kentucky in college, and she has done really, really well. So Ana Belak and Frida Kuhnholt, who also won on the Symetra Tour last year. Those are like the four young players that I have to tell you, watch out this next year on the LPGA Tour. Those are the ones that are going to be for you. Now, also,
I love how you get excited about this. I love this. You're into this. This is so cool.
Also, there's two players to watch that we don't know if they're going to come because, of course, we are always trying to look to what's happening on their Korean LPGA Tour, right? So there's two players to watch from there. One already played in the US Open this year. She tied for 30, but she was the leader in points in the Korean LPGA Tour. That's Hae-Jin Choi. Hae-Jin Choi is playing really well. She's 21 only, and she has already played in the US Open because of virtually being the leader, the points leader on the KLPGA. And that is one of the players that if she comes here, you have to watch out for her. She's only 21. But the one that I know for sure is going to come, if not this year, maybe next year, and her name, I have to mention it right, okay, is Hai Ren Ryu. She's 19. She played in 2017. That's 3 years ago when she was 16 in the US Open. And right now she finished second in the money list, just beyond Hyo Yoon Kim on the KLPGA last year. So that is one player that I'm looking out for to be the next star from South Korea to come out here and play on the LPGA. So those are the names of Fred, young players to watch this year.
That's outstanding, Carlos. We will definitely watch those names, and I'm sure we will be seeing them sooner rather than later.
Well, with that, we wrap up our practice range, and now let's close the show with our final putts. And we already mentioned that Jon Rahm is going to start 2021, of course, ranked number 2 in the world, but he signed an endorsement deal with Callaway Golf and will play this week at the Century Tournament of Champions with 13 Callaway clubs and a Callaway ball. All Callaway. Callaway did not release the agreement financial details, but it was also announced that Jon will be wearing TravisMathew apparel. According to Callaway, Rahm plans to use prototype woods and irons, Callaway Jaws forged wedges, and a Callaway Chrome Soft X golf ball. Now, while he's not expected to start 2021 using the Odyssey putter, he has been testing different models and they're expecting him to add it to his bag in the upcoming weeks. He's still tweaking that. But Fred, one thing that he said, and I already mentioned it, that when he played his first round with his new gear there at the Silver Leaf Golf Club in Scottsdale, he said he scored a course record 59. He said, they're working pretty good for me. So that I don't know if it was just to, give some publicity to this or not. But if that's a preview of things to come, watch out. John Rahm is coming for everyone.
Yeah, a couple other things real quick here. Former R&A chief Peter Dawson was awarded the Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire from the Queen of England. So as we know, Peter ran the R&A for, I don't know, 10 years or something. And he's been involved in golf over in Europe for a long, long time. And so congratulations to him for that. Also, just, how we like to keep Trump in the news. We don't want to let him slip away here. The media seems to be all a Twitter about the losses that Donald is amassing from his Scottish golf courses. But, they're making a big deal about it. But isn't this to be expected? I mean, his golf courses, you got to travel. He needs people to travel there, spend a bunch of money, pay the big green fees, buy expensive dinners and booze and all that stuff. They can't do that right now, right? So yeah, they're going to lose money. So it makes the headlines, and that's what drives me nuts. People read these things. Oh my God! Well, think about it a little bit, folks. It's the sign of the times. Come on, give me a break. That's all I got for you, Carlos. Michigan Golf Journal was out this week. Look at that. We featured French Lick. We're going to have somebody from French Lick on here in the next couple of weeks talking about what's going on down there. We've got new stuff with Back Nine Report TV. We'll have this up on there. We'll have the interview with Kris Straus up there, Back Nine Report TV on YouTube and on Roku. Carlos, back to you.
Just a quick mention about the Trump news. Wasn't Scotland locked down for a long while, and it's going back into the lockdown again now?
Exactly.
I mean, they already started. So, I mean, if it would have been somebody else, this would be no news. No news at all. I mean, there's no mention of any other courses that are losing money, right?
Yeah.
There has to be plenty of them.
Exactly.
But anyway, we don't report in these things. Back Niners, that wraps up another week of the Back Nine Report, the first one of 2021. So our vision this year is going to be 2021, not 2020, 2021. Thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest on the world of golf. Special thanks to our VIG, very important guest of the week, Kris Straus, the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Troon. He talked to us about their recent acquisition of Indigo Partners, which was formerly known as Billy Casper Golf. Don't forget to see us again next week on YouTube, or if you miss it, check it out. Also, the audio version is on TuneIn. Now, if you haven't done so, what are you waiting for? Follow the show on Twitter. Our ID is at Back Nine Report. Use the number 9 in the middle. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Altvater. We wish you to be happy, be blessed, and enjoy the great game of golf. Happy golfing, everybody.
Let's see you on the Back Nine.